Hello everyone. Laurie here from Wellbrook Wines. Thank you very much for buying our winter tasting case. We've put together some little videos, one per wine, because we thought it would be a nice idea to share with you our thoughts on the wines and our enthusiasm for these wines that you've bought. We'd like to tell you a little bit about where they're from, how they're made, the grape varieties involved in making them, maybe chuck in some completely random thoughts and facts, who knows? But it'd be nice to share the experience of tasting them with you in a virtual way, of course. So join us, it'll be fun. See you soon. Hello everyone. Thanks again for buying the Wellbrook Wines winter tasting case. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Pinot Noir, my desert island grape variety. I love Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is a well-travelled grape, very well known, isn't it? You'll all be familiar with it. It's, of course, the great red grape of Burgundy. Famous and responsible for some of the most impressive wines, some of the most expensive wines in the world. But in the last 30 years, it's gone all over. You can find it everywhere from Eastern Europe to Washington State, South Australia, New Zealand. Some fantastic examples of Pinot Noir to be found in many places. I love New Zealand Pinot Noir very much. And actually, when I started importing Argentinian wine, quite a long time ago now, I was a little bit concerned because I thought, oh, the problem with Argentina is they don't make good Pinot Noir. But I was wrong. And what's even more exciting is that in the last 10, 15 years, Argentinian Pinot Noir has become something really quite special, as we're going to see today. Pinot Noir itself is a very awkward grape variety. A very tricky grape to grow. It has thin skins, which partly explains why usually Pinot Noir is much paler in colour than most red wines, because all of the colour in a red wine comes from the skins, most of it does. And those thin skins also make it susceptible to a lot of diseases and rot, things like downy mildew, botrytis, etc., etc. So a great deal of care has to be taken with Pinot Noir. But the rewards can be spectacular in the right hands. And we've talked a little bit in some of these videos about neutrality in grapes or personality. And really Pinot Noir for me, as a big fan, has one of the biggest personalities of all the red grapes. It has even though it's very well travelled and can be found in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, east to west, it does nonetheless have this personality, this lexicon of descriptive terms which tend to apply in different ways, different places, but consistently. So a tricky grape to grow. And what I would say about Pinot Noir is that it's not a great grape variety for making very entry-level wines. Because if you make Pinot Noir in huge volumes, it tends to lose a lot of that personality. So, you know, you can buy very acceptable wine made from Pinot Noir from lots of places, Eastern Europe, Chile, you know, inexpensive wine, and it'll be very nice, but it probably won't smell or taste a lot like Pinot Noir. This wine is from Argentina, and unlike most Argentinian wines, this wine is not grown at very high altitude in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. This is from way down south amongst the most southerly vineyards in the whole world in Patagonia. It's from a region called Rio Negro, which is about 100 kilometers inland from the Andes, so you can't even see the Andes, which is very unusual for Argentine vineyards, and it's low altitude. The vineyards are actually on the banks of the Rio Negro, and the river has a very big influence on the climate here. There's a lot more moisture in the air, for example. And in many ways, the climate down here in Patagonia is much more European. You still have a long growing season, you still have long warm days and really cool nights, but quite different from Mendoza. And Pinot Noir is arguably most at home down here in Patagonia in the context of Argentina. This is a small producer using old vines, originally planted in the 1920s, although these Pinot Noir vines are a bit younger than that, about 25 to 30 years old. And I love it very much because it does capture that wonderful Pinot Noir personality in a very Argentine way. So let's have a taste. The colour, as we were saying earlier on, it's relatively pale. It's a nice ruby red, pale ruby red, nice pinkish rim on the nose. Oh, and there it is. There's that lovely wild raspberry and wild strawberry bursting out of the glass, but combined with something a little more intangible. It's almost a sweet farmyardy smell, like a sweet rotting veg, which doesn't sound very appealing, but it's part of the DNA of Pinot Noir. It's what gives it complexity and finesse and elegance. So lovely, quite rustic, quite wild on the nose, which I really like, not polished. In the mouth. Quite light, as you'd expect from Pinot Noir. Light to medium body, lovely tannins, lovely bouncy, juicy tannins, very mouth-watering wine this. That same ripe red fruit comes through on the palate, wild raspberries and strawberries, maybe a bit of cherry, and that lovely, lovely complexity, which is classic Pinot Noir. I mean, this wine couldn't be made from another grape, and that's something to cherish. The fact that it is so distinctly Pinot Noir. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. I think it's a fabulous little wine, brilliant with lamb. For me, Pinot Noir, made for lamb. Great with slow roasted lamb, shallots, bit of rosemary, wonderful. Cheers everyone, and see you next time.